Will pay dividends.
Oh! Tom Aspinall! Whoa! Do it! Tom Aspinall has done it! He is the UFC interim heavyweight champion of the world!
I want to fight Jon Jones next, is what I want. And I think I can get it. Why is this Stipe thing going on when I'm knocking out guys like Pavlovich in a minute?
If you're looking at UFC 300 right now and you're looking at like the array of champions that you would love to have on that pay-per-view, would you not look at Tom Aspinall, who's only,
your heavyweight champion,
fought in November, right? Fought in November, won the interim heavyweight title. It's the perfect time now, UFC 300, for him to fight again. But if it's not going to be Jon and if it's not going to be Stipe, who is he going to fight?
It's really unfortunate that Jon's obviously injured, right? First of all, yeah. I guess like if Jon wasn't injured, would he be doing this fight right now? He might be, is the answer. Like he says, he says no. Look, all right, we'll get to that because he's tweeted a bunch of it out, right? But the point of he's injured, so we can't actually have this fight anyway, regardless. And Tom has been kind of on that path coming up in his career, and he's reached the top of the division now, where typically things slow down across a lot of the weight classes. The champion usually only fights twice a year, sometimes once a year, so he wants to fight as soon as possible.
You're just saying he should like it or lump it, basically.
Well, no, but it's just like, it's pretty common for these two guys who haven't fought in a long time anyway.
Yeah, but fuck that. That's not how it should go.
I'm not saying that's how
you're the champion.
But like, I'm just
you
saying,
can't avoid injuries.
Should he really be that surprised? Do you know what I mean?
He should be surprised, but he has a right to be angry about it.
Because these two barely fight anyway. It's
but
not like they fight 3 times a year.
That still doesn't make sense. You're the champion of the division. You should be fighting. Jones hasn't showed an interest in being heavyweight champion at all. He come in, he wanted to fight Francis, which we all wanted to see. Didn't happen because the UFC fucked about with Francis and didn't give him what he wanted. And then he fought Garn, who he was never interested in fighting. So it was probably one of his easiest fights he would have to date. Couldn't even say his fucking name right. And then won the belt in 60 seconds, made Garn look like shit. And now he's trying to fight Stipe, who notoriously doesn't fight either. That's not Tom, he should know what he's getting into. No, he's the fucking interim champion.
Like
and Jones is fighting someone who is in his last fight, got knocked the fuck out by the guy he originally wanted to fight. How is he in a title fight with Jones? It makes no sense.
Do you know Jon wants to be the heavyweight champion?
Well, clearly not, because he's not fucking acting like it.
He was booked to fight Stipe like twice before it fell out, right? Was it like the first fight was supposed to be like July or something? Then they pushed it back, and then he got injured.
Why is he taking that long?
Well, Stipe
was fucking injured.
No, before he was injured.
Well, it was booked and then it got cancelled. It was booked and it got cancelled.
But why?
I don't fucking know why. Probably because someone got injured.
Because there's reasons behind the scenes where people are asking for more money. There might be more scheduling things with the UFC where they're trying to make the most money.
I don't know about that.
The tickets sold for 112 grand ringside. That's the reason why they're still making Stipe Jones.
Yeah,
is it really?
It's a money fight.
100,000.
Yeah, and that fight fell out, and they had to watch replacement fights, which is insane, and they still paid that price.
Yeah, but that's why I'm like, he shouldn't be surprised then, should he? Because
but it's bollocks. Why is there an interim champion and a heavyweight champion at the same time, and there's a fight before they fight?
Well, it's not the first time this has happened. Like that, the interim champions have defended their belts previously. He wants to fight Stipe, he wants to fight Jon. That's fine, but like, I just feel like we got to also acknowledge the fact that they were supposed to have fought by now, and we probably shouldn't be in this position anyway, and that we are, and Jon's injured, so it doesn't really matter. So the ultimate question is, who is Aspinall going to fight? And if he does have to defend the interim heavyweight title, that is something that people have already done before. Frank Mir's done it, Henan Barrow's done it. What about Dominic Cruz, Henan Barrow?
Okay, you have a scheduled fight between Stipe and Jones. I get it. At the time, Tom wasn't interim. He wasn't near a belt position. And then their scheduled fight, that fight falls out. Stipe is ready to go. He replies to Aspinall on his tweet saying, I've never held up the Jones fight. And that's what he was saying in his replies. So, Jones is out. Jones is out for months and months and months on end due to surgeries. Why isn't then Tom fighting Stipe? Stipe's ready to go. Let's move on, because Tom also now has a belt and he's also a champion. It's the same thing. I understand selfishly why Stipe would want to fight Jon. But it's like, it's so long. We're holding up so much time.
Stipe is the problem, right, in this situation.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not just Stipe as well. It is also like the promotion desperately clinging on to the dregs of Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic, which is a fight that should have happened, years ago now as well. And
if that is something they are trying to do, then it's a simple question for them. It's like, do we want to do Jon Jones Stipe or do we want to do Aspinall Stipe?
they're desperate to squeeze Jon and Stipe in before, the new era of the heavyweight division with Tom Aspinall comes in. It's almost like Tom's arrived in the door at the party and he's like, right guys, I'm here. I'm ready to be the fucking king of this. And the UFC is just like, can you come back in 5 minutes?
That's a good way of putting it.
Do you think Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic at this point, if that fight was happening today, determines the best heavyweight in the world?
No.
Don't. Why?
I don't think it determines even Jon is the best heavyweight on the planet. He got a very select opponent in his first fight to win the belt, and in his second fight, his first event,
wasn't he the interim
Who would you have
champion,
had Jon Jones fight instead of Garn?
Pavlovich, which was a guy who was
Garn
on
not the interim champion.
No,
he lost.
No, he lost to
to
Francis and got another shot the same way.
Yeah.
Stipe lost to Ngannou and he's getting another shot.
Yeah.
So you just have to be a heavyweight near a belt once and you get 2 shots for free. It doesn't make. No one wants to see Stipe in there. I don't understand why he's there. He got finished in the worst way possible in his career last time he was out, and that was 4 fucking years ago. I'm not saying that makes him shit or counts him out, but it doesn't make any sense. I don't know anyone in their right mind who's actually
Randy
interested.
Couture beat Tim Sylvia
but
when
that's
he was 48.
He beat Tim Sylvia.
Yeah, Tim Sylvia's great. Okay.
Well, I feel like it's kind of like obvious to me in a way that the reason they're holding on to that fight is because they know if Tom fights Stipe, he'll probably beat him, and then you've lost.
But that's the thing. If they not, with the very fact that Jon got injured back in November, does that not just kind of determine the fact that they've missed it? Where is Stipe in the rankings right now? We have Jon, Tom, Sergey, Stipe.
What would you like to see actually happen? What's your ideal scenario now?
Honestly, right now, I'd like to see Stipe fight Tom at 300. I think it's the fact is the champion is out. There's 2 guys there that are at the top of the division, or at least, Stipe is still sort of in the top 5. And he is the former greatest heavyweight of all time. I'm going to do that again without these. He's the former greatest heavyweight of all time with his defenses.
You said it with chest, bro. What did you just do? Or can we just get replay?
I mean, yeah, arguably he's the greatest heavyweight.
If he's
of all
not,
time.
Who is?
Exactly.
No, can we
In the
just?
UFC.
Yeah, it was like
It's Stipe.
he's the most defending champion of all time.
I still feel like he's probably the greatest
Yeah.
UFC.
Okay, but when you
heavyweight
have
champion.
that moniker right now, for a lot of fans believe that as well. It's like that is his title, isn't it? That's Stipe's own sort of belt that people want to take from him and say, oh, I beat the guy who defended the belt the most. So that's, why Jon wants it, and also because he beat Cormier. And that's also a funny little last laugh to Daniel Cormier. Be like, hey, fuck you, I also beat the guy that you couldn't beat, 2 out of the 3 times that you fought.
Do you think there's part of the UFC that wouldn't mind Tom being the one to take that off Stipe if Jon can't have it? Because if you're trying to push Tom as a star, why wouldn't you want him to take the same?
Exactly.
In the same way, it's Jon. Anything Jon would get the rub off from
Exactly,
Stipe,
yeah.
Tom's going to get that.
You normally, I mean, I understand, obviously, like we've just said twice over, Stipe has all these accolades, but normally when someone comes off a title defense, they maybe fight down a little bit. So it's like, okay, then the next guy comes along who we might want for a title shot. You fight Stipe, who's this former champion, who's just come off a title match himself. See how you fare. And if you win, you can get the next title shot. But obviously now we're in this weird thing where Stipe's just promised it anyway because of who he is.
What's Stipe's motivation for taking a fight with Tom Aspinall?
There's none.
To become the interim champion.
Yeah, there's none there.
With Jones,
not.
there's
He's
none
already-
either.
Because Stipe's already become champion. He's already had this incredible
Yeah,
career.
I think Stipe only wants to fight Jon.
But-
Yeah, it's like literally the last thing left for him to do. It's like, recently we've seen people like Oliveira and Dustin take those fights now, and good on them for taking them as well, finally taking those kind of prospect fights and helping that division kind of grow a little bit more and cultivate a little bit more. But for Stipe, it's like he doesn't need to do it, does he? He does not need to be a part of that cultivation of the new heavyweight division, because also Tom's sort of already done that for him.
And say, who is the number 1 contender at heavyweight?
It's Tom Aspinall.
No. He's the interim champion. Who's the number 1 contender?
Well, Sergey.
Probably Pavlovich.
He's just knocked him out. So
Yeah.
who would
Yeah, exactly.
Tom actually fight?
This is what happens though. When you make up these bullshit titles because you need to sell pay-per-views, don't give a person an interim belt. An interim belt is perfect situation for when Jones tears his bicep off and he has to have a massive surgery, that's when you make your interim, because it's like the champion is physically not capable of being active, so we need someone there to be the head of the division. But now it's like they're not honoring it. But yeah, it's obviously, it's like it just gets rid of any kind of plan, like a cheap facade, to the fact that you're still giving Stipe the fight. So we're just sticking with that, and it kind of all means nothing, because we know and feel like, we don't know, but we feel like both men are probably going to retire, because like we've said, no one has interest in fighting down.
It's, it's kind of an interesting thing to do, to put someone in the position to give them an interim title going into another year where you have to offer them 3 fights. And the only 2 of the people aren't going to take the fight. So it's like, who are you going to offer this guy now that you've given him the interim title? Like, if there was an interim title, we would know that Tom is the number 1 contender and he's going to fight the champion once he's ready, but they still are going to make this fight. So I don't know. It's, again, kind of going back to what I said, where you've got 2 guys who are used to waiting for the big fight, and Tom's ready now and he's been fighting consistently. It would be all well and good for the UFC to go, just wait, give us 7 months and you're fine.
The big question then is, who is he going to fight?
Well, I think, if you ask what I would like to see happen, I would like to see Tom fight Alex Pereira at UFC 300.
Jesus fucking Christ, really?
I would like to see it, yeah. Why not?
It's so hard to wrangle in my brain how a former middleweight champion in literally a matter of 3 or 4 fights could be then fighting for a heavyweight title.
Well, the thing is, as crazy as it might sound, it's what the hell else are they going to do?
They need to do something for Tom's star power. So if you had someone like Alex Pereira, who's done these great things, who's in the news all the time, going up to heavyweight and having this crazy fight at a big landmark event like UFC 300, that would still do both wonders for both guys. But more importantly, when you're having your interim champion waiting around, you need to give him a big fight. I kind of feel like it'd be an insane squash match, but
maybe
the spectacle would be interesting.
The spectacle would be interesting. I think the problem is, though, it would just cause chaos across 2 divisions. I don't know who's next at 205. Jamal Hill. Oh, yeah. Is he still injured?
I don't think anything's going on.
Johnny Walker say he was going to...
Well, it's Ankalaev. It's Ankalaev, Johnny Walker, and the winner of that this weekend?
Yeah. That's true as well.
Yeah.
But what if that doesn't really have a definitive winner? What if it's really boring? It's like...
Or if it's a draw.
This is the problem. This is why we've
one.
got so fucked, isn't it? The heavyweight division's fucked. The light heavyweight division, it's not fucked, but there's no clear contender. No one's just won 4 in a row.
I think, considering it's already in mass chaos, really, with the very fact that you do have Alex Pereira as the light heavyweight champion, the fact that you do have Tom, who's an interim champion, who can't fight fucking any of the guys that he should be fighting, you might as well just be like, do you know what, guys? We're at notch number 9. How don't we just fucking crank it up to 10 and just go all in?
Honestly, I think it's a crazy enough fight that would get a lot of people interested.
That's the thing. When you put that belt on someone, we're expecting something. If they just went, oh, this would be for the next guy to fight for a title, then we would all forgotten about it and kind of accepted how business works. There's a schedule. But because you're saying, oh, he's the interim champ now, he's the champion for when the champion's away. Oh, but when Jones comes back, he's fighting Stipe instead. Well, I thought Tom was the belt holder. It's like, oh, no, because this makes sense, because this makes loads of money.
So with that being said then, it's not gone. And then obviously Pereira probably won't be able to make the weight.
It says he couldn't adjust to the weight. Doesn't feel confident that he'd be able to put on the weight to have a good showing at heavyweight. Who else is there? Is there anyone we can think of that would just come out of nowhere and fight Tom Aspinall?
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, wow. Mark Hunt rematch.
Yeah, get Mark Hunt back
somehow.
Yeah.
There's no
I don't think so.
There's no heavyweights anywhere else they would randomly pull in. There's nothing like that.
Fedor, finally.
Oh, could you imagine?
Get him in for a bag of chips now. You?
So what do you think? What do you think Tom's actually gonna have to do? You think he's just gonna have to wait?
Because it does just seem like the perfect date for Tom, though, doesn't it? 300, and they've just got nothing really for him. He's really established himself as the cream of the crop, especially knocking out Pavlovich as well. I think that's the last thing anyone really saw when we were looking at that fight, is that the fact that he was going to do it in the way that he did it. We just thought, oh, he's going to take him down and he's going to submit him or do whatever he needs to do. But the fact that he just was so quick, smacked him up, and just took that title like fucking nobody's business. There is nothing there for Tom apart from Stipe.
It's a question of do you sacrifice the legacy of Stipe that
you fucking
or do you make Tom wait?
I just don't think there's any. I don't think there's massive merit now in Jon beating Stipe.
That's the thing. It's just a name for namesake. I mean, we're waiting to see Stipe come back after 4 years and fight a Jon Jones, who is also older now and a completely different weight class where we haven't really seen too much. This is not the pinnacle of the sport, and the UFC are all about making the best fight.
Are you saying that you don't think Jon Jones right now is the best heavyweight in the world?
No.
Basically, who do
No.
you think it's Tom?
I think Jon Jones is an extremely skilled athlete in a heavyweight frame. Through all of his years of experience and training, he is capable to take advantage of people like Garn.
So you're saying if Tom Aspinall went in the cage with Jon Jones, you would like, oh,
I think he could beat him in a round.
You think Tom Aspinall could beat Jon Jones in one round?
Doing
what?
How have you seen a heavyweight as more naturally quick? Aspinall flows his like MMA together, like he's striking to his stand up. It's like it's seamless. And like you have a guy like Pavlovich who no one can beat. He's getting destroyed by everyone. 6 knockouts in the first round, and he knocks him out. I just don't see how someone that naturally gifted as a heavyweight, always been a heavyweight, can't do that to someone who's come up, who looked a little bit slow, who didn't have the greatest showing of stand up of what he showed when he did.
Is it
not
That's
obvious?
a mad hot
Does it not
take,
feel
yeah.
obvious?
I think like it's not just about who's faster. It's the fact that Jon Jones has always been like the general of the cage, though. He's always
He has that
dictated,
aura.
but yeah, he dictates the pace in any place that it goes. If he wants it to be fast, it will be fast. If he wants the fight to be slow, he'll slow it right down. And I think that's ultimately when you're in there, it's almost like dancing, right? Like a guy's trying to find his groove, but Jon Jones kind of works off at like an off-pace 1-2. Like it's very hard to like establish what he's doing, why he's doing it, and that's why I think he's been so successful in MMA. Jones is just working like in this kind of like 4-dimensional way where it's like going off in different directions in a way that is so hard to predict. You can't understand, and that's why I think he's been so successful, because he's like one of the only MMA fighters that I really feel like in the entire history that has been able to just not just mix martial arts, but just like throw combinations of things together that shouldn't work, but he just does it anyways, and that's what makes him so good. So you wonder whether or not Tom has ever been in that scenario where he's fighting against someone who looks like they have like 8 arms and 8 legs and that is going left but is really going right. That's what's so fascinating about that fight. So yeah, it's such a shame that Jon has been injured, because if it wasn't the injury and Tom had won, I think just sack off Stipe.
What do you think about Jon's responses to Tom? Because on Twitter, Jon's essentially saying, "Oh, you need to build your resume up, kid," and it's like, he's not going to be able to fight anyone that you would consider like resume worthy. But the thing with poor old Tom, there aren't any former heavyweight champions left.
Yeah.
Right? You got Ngannou, gone. Stipe, well, he's trying to fight him, but he won't. DC, gone. Alistair Overeem, gone. Fabricio Verdum, gone. JDS, gone. There are none. Jon, I can fight Rampage, Rashad, Lyoto Machida, all the former champions. Like, my resume is full of former champions. Well, Tom hasn't got any to fight, so what's he supposed to do?
Andre Orlovsky, though.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah, that's true. Former champion, but like, he's not had a chance.
It also said it's like, how am I trying to I'm trying to fight the best in the world. It's like he was saying like his ego's getting in the way, because it's like I'm not saying, oh, give me a title shot to fight the Jon Jones, the greatest ever. It's like I'm trying to fight you because I think you're the greatest. Like you say, he's done everything he can. He's knocked out the scariest guy in the division. It's like, who else is he supposed to fight?
So the question, I guess, is, do we not see Tom Aspinall this year? Well, it's a damn tragedy if you have a guy like Tom at the absolute peak of his career, 30 years old, interim heavyweight champion.
Wasting a year.
And he's just going to waste a year. And did you say Almeida's fighting
Blades?
So it's just like, why did we do this then? Honestly, they could have given him Almeida, or they could have given him Blades for 300, or they could have. But why have they done that? What is the actual purpose of having Curtis Blades fight Almeida? It is disappointing, because obviously we have for as long as we can remember now, we've craved a heavyweight Jon Jones. And now, not only like is the years of his inactivity trying to get to heavyweight, also like the pulsing picograms, back when, were a problem. But now you've got Tom Aspinall as sort of like a collateral of the Jon Jones legacy as well, because ultimately this should be Tom Aspinall's year, shouldn't it? 2024 should be the year of Tom Aspinall. But right now, he's just basically becoming collateral to the Jon Jones legacy.
Right, boys, it's a brand new year, and that means you should all join up for the MMA On Point membership program, because you get a bunch of cool stuff like these unedited podcasts.
But also, what a great way to start 2024 as a white belt in the MMA on Point members scheme.
True.
Where you start off January as a fucking white belt, you could end the year as a sort of a brown, yeah. You could end the year as a brown belt and show it off to your girlfriend.
Or mum.
Or mum.